Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of MYF Talks with your host, Dawood Jafri. Today I'm joined by my co-hosts, Musaddiq and Raza, but we have a very special guest for you. You've seen us in previous episodes with various speakers and scholars, but today we bring you something different. And today we have Qari, Brother Fahim Akbar with us. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Habib Dawood.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam Sadiq. Said.
Salam, how you doing?
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
You are not Sayyid, are you?
I am.
Yes. Big insult.
I gotta change the context.
Contacts in the phone.
I always have to make sure that the Sayyids have the Sayyid on at the beginning.
You're gonna be saying Sayyid.
I'm the only guy
You
who's
have to
not Sayyid.
differentiate.
Yeah.
No.
No, how are you, my bro?
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah.
So Fahim, you've been here with us for the last 10 nights of Ramadan. We've obviously benefited and loved to have you here and enjoyed your recitations, not just in Quran but also du'as and all the amal that you've been doing. But how have you felt being in Manchester?
Wallah, I enjoyed the time, really. It was a really, really nice time. We had really good programs. Alhamdulillah, many recitations by myself and also the other brothers who participated as well. But all in all, it was really a beautiful experience, even for me.
Yeah. What do you think of the community?
A really beautiful community.
Yeah.
Because first of all, congratulations to your center.
Thank you.
Really beautiful and unique. I know in Germany we have had one or two centers, Shia centers, who that have been churches before. But this one is very beautiful. And the community we have is also a very active community, I can tell. And alhamdulillah, you see by the results, like the programs have been really beautiful. So even other centers, not only in the UK, but even abroad in Germany, many people can learn a lot from you guys, how to have programs.
Inshallah. Inshallah. One thing I wanted to obviously start off this whole podcast with, and this discussion with you, most of us are typically from the Pakistani community, the Iranian, Iraqi community, and then we have quite a few people.
An Indian community.
And
Correct.
I have to say that.
Bring that in there.
Yeah.
So the Afghan community, clearly, over the last few years, especially with the advent of Shia Voice, we've seen the Afghans are really showing up when it comes to Quran, when it comes to recitations, when it comes to du'as. What is it about you guys, man, that gets you really raring for this?
So you mean these guys also show up in the programs and participate in your programs, or you mean general?
In general, in across the wider Shia community, but also, of course, in our programs as well.
Basically, alhamdulillah, when it comes to recitation, especially Quran, it's a big thing with the Afghans. Usually, I think it has different reasons, but mainly it's a certain love for the Quran and the Quran recitations that is being implemented very, very early in the Afghan families. And I believe now that I have learned about the Pakistani community, the Khoja, the Indian, the other, even the Iraqis. Yeah. You see that the things that are very early implemented in the families is mainly azadari, mainly recitations like Nohas, Makamat, maybe a bit less Quran. And basically, on our side, it's mainly Quran. So I don't know so many Afghan families where they start teaching their children Nohas from the young age. Instead, it's Quran. Like myself.
Where does this stem from? Why is it that way, particularly with the Afghan community?
I think it has different reasons. Maybe one of the reasons is that we Afghans, going back to the time where our parents used to live in Afghanistan, they used to live in an environment with our Sunni brothers. So basically, with the big Sunni community in Afghanistan, with all the difficulties, of course, that the Shias of Afghanistan have faced in the past, they still had a certain life together with them. Of course, having neighbors.
You have to
correctly.
correct.
So it's like a common ground, basically.
Yeah. So, like even if you talk with Afghans, usually you always hear, like in the past decades, we either never had issues or we used to have no issues. But of course, always the enmities that are like globally known. But nevertheless, because I think one of the urges that Shias in Afghanistan have had, I think, is of course to also show that, listen, correct, we're Shia, but we are also Muslim. Or maybe because we are Shia, we are Muslim.
Yeah.
And you know, one thing that is very, very important for the Sunni communities is the Quran, because what else do they have?
Very true.
Almost nothing.
Very true.
Even when it comes to recitation, like I know Pakistani communities, even the Sunni, they have not.
Yeah.
In Afghanistan,
Nasheed.
correct. In Afghanistan, there are certain communities, Sunni community, they also have knots. Well, other ones, they don't have almost nothing, it's just Quran. So basically, maybe one of the reasons the Shias of Afghanistan are very, very into Quran is just the environment made them being aware of the fact that the importance of the Quran was there from day one. And and also, as far as I remember, the stories that I was told, that back then, you know, the time of no television, but rather having radio channels and listening different programs, different radio channels you could have listened. I know that back then we were told that the first recitations, the first cassettes of recitations of Quran that have been shared, especially in the countries like Afghanistan and different Islamic countries, where, for example, recitations of the Egyptian Qari Abdul Basit. It's very, very known that even in Afghanistan, his recitation, and even in Pakistan and different countries, it was very common
Very
that
famous.
his cassettes were published and were distributed a lot, mainly even more than other reciters. Because even now, with that expertise and the experience I have, Abdul Basit has been, and still in a way is probably the most famous reciter in the past, let's say 60, 70, 80 years. Or let's say in the past 100 years.
I would say in living memory.
Correct.
You ask anyone,
Correct.
everyone knows
about
Abdul
Abdul Basit.
And they say there are a couple of reasons for that. One of those reasons is, of course, his voice.
Yeah.
Unique. That pitch that he recites. Other reciters were able to recite on that pitch, but not for that long. Crazy. And of course, the fact that his cassettes have been distributed in a time where that was new, and people got used to listen to his recitation. So basically, even Afghanistan back then and even today, like they say, if you have an Afghani majlis and you want to get the crowd, forget about the other styles of recitations of Mahmoud Shahat and or even Minshawi. I mainly the style I'm reciting is Muhammad Siddiq Minshawi, and many other styles. If you have a like old-fashioned Afghan community, and you want to get the crowd, and you want them to enjoy, you just switch to Abdul Basit. Make sure you recite as good as possible, and you'll have the crowd. They'll love it. Why? Because they have grown up with that. Their fathers and grandfathers, the families are used to those recitations. So basically, the love of Quran and especially Quran recitations, there are a couple of reasons. Maybe these are the two reasons. But I think in general, we Afghans, but also we Afghans, when I talk about Afghans, it's maybe similar to the Pakistanis. Afghanistan is a country with many, many, many different ethnics.
Very true.
With different groups. Me, for example, I'm a Qizilbash. It's a very, very special group, known to be a Shia, but also a minority in Afghanistan. So basically, we have a lot of cultural things in common with Iran. Of course, the language basically is the same language, and you see that even the Quran is or when it comes to recitations, those kind of recitations, you see that the love is even Iran and Afghanistan is very common, very, very, very similar. And maybe it has to do something with recitations at all, maybe.
I mean, so it's interesting you say that, because typically a lot of criticism that we hear about Shias in general is that we don't have a relationship with the Quran.
Correct.
We focus on Azadari, on Matam, and the Ahlul Bayt too much. and then we focus and then sort of forget about the Quran itself. So it's interesting to you to say that, it's a big, facet in the life in someone from Iran and sort of the wider Shia world. Where do you think that comes from? And
I mean, getting to know the different Shia communities all around the world in a way. Like once you come to the UK, you have definitely a couple more communities that you will get to know. But basically, yeah, of course, there are some communities that maybe are not that attached to Quran as they should be. But even that, I think, that has reasons. Maybe political, social reasons in the past. Maybe, wherever Shias and Sunnis used to live together, if they used to live together in a way of harmony, they had maybe more commonalities in it, like things that they had in common.
yeah.
I think those places where they were not used to live in harmony, especially when they got more oppressed by the Sunnis, I think that, of course, there were things that they disliked, or maybe they were like, listen, those guys who oppress us, they favor this and that, maybe Quran recitations. So us, of being different and getting oppressed by them, we'll stick to the other things. And maybe this is also one of the reasons. I don't know. It's just an assumption. You see, like, for example, many Pakistani communities, especially the Shia communities, a lack of Quran reciters.
Yeah.
But if you see the Sunni Pakistani reciters, even some of them I know personally,
They have many.
they're big on Quran recitations.
Yeah.
So I think it has to do with political, historical, social reasons in the past. Otherwise, the Shias, I think, were always known for being close with the Quran. So
Have you in your, obviously you've grown up in the West, you're born and raised in Germany.
Correct.
I don't know what the community is like in Germany. Of course, you're from Berlin. Here, obviously, in the UK, there's a massive Muslim population.
Correct.
Of course, of different types as well. So you have Sunnis, you have Wahhabis, you have Shias, you have Ismailis, you have every different type of community you can think of. And there's in the UK, typically there's a lot of even in schools, you will hear some Shia kids getting bullied, saying, "Oh, you guys don't read the Quran, or you don't know how to read the Quran." Did you ever go through that in school when you were growing up?
Unfortunately, yes. There was a time, I remember my high school time, I think in the whole school, potentially, I've been one of 3, one of 5, one of 10 Shias, maybe. Very, very small number.
Yeah.
And all the other guys were Sunnis.
Wow.
So there are a couple stories even where I got bullied. People accused me of insulting the companions, and back then I didn't even know what is a companion. I knew I was a Shia, but I was like, what is a companion and who is a companion? I have no clue.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, even back then in my time, again, if you're a Shia and you're known to be Shia and you're practicing your religion, even as a student in the school, it's possible that you get bullied. I think, for example, some friends of mine, cousins of mine, who weren't that religious, I think these people, they haven't had any experience of getting bullied because of them being Shia, because it wasn't known. So basically, if you're even in my time, if you're known to be religious or practicing Shia Muslim, even by normal Sunni people, not by Christian, not by anybody else, but by Sunnis, you get bullied. And even I know nowadays through social media, young boys and girls in the age of 10 or even younger, or 12, they got bullied. There was a funny story, not funny for him, but for me. I was in the last Fatimiyya, I think. We had a program. Of course, I was reciting, and I uploaded one of the videos. Got very viral on TikTok because, of course,
Nohe recitation.
Nohe recitation, and it was a majlis and was a fast speed Noha. And you know, when you upload these kind of things on TikTok, it can get viral
Very
when the other
Yeah.
side starts
pick it
to
up. Yeah.
pick it up and Shia Kafir and
issues out
to
of it,
insult
yeah.
and I had literally probably hundreds of comments that I've deleted,
Mm.
and still the video has still 3, 4, 500 comments, and that video I think reached almost 450k views.
Wow,
That's a lot.
Mhm.
And in a way funny, in another way sad. One of the young boys who was sitting in the video
Mhm.
and doing matam, doing sinazani, he approached me and he was like, this video that you have uploaded, one of my classmates has seen that video on TikTok, and they started bullying me.
Oh wow.
Mm.
And he asked me to remove it. I didn't. I didn't because, in my opinion, and even me talking to him, it's important to make sure that even if you get bullied, you shouldn't take a step back.
You shouldn't succumb to the
You
pressure.
shouldn't
No.
take
Yeah,
a
you
step
stand
back.
up.
Let them say whatever they say.
Yeah.
Because I went through that. People go through that, and it's time that, especially our generations and the younger generations, start learning not to be apologetic on anything,
Mhm.
but to say, listen, that's us. That's what we do, and you stick with your path, and we stick with our path.
So all of this like bullying and all that happened to you, and also after that video that
Yeah.
went viral. So did that impact your recitation afterwards, or your motivation towards it?
No, usually, I'll be honest. Usually, if there are like hate comments,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like usually I delete those comments. Why? Because I'm like, it's a beautiful video, and these comments are ruining it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And who cares about those comments?
Exactly. Let people enjoy whatever they
Yeah,
want to enjoy,
yeah.
and then the
Again,
haters can just
Exactly. So usually, as I told you, that video, honestly, I deleted almost 200 or 300 comments, and still it has 400 comments.
Yeah.
So basically, now I changed my mind. Certain videos I don't care. Let them, even if they comment.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I'd rather encourage me to do more,
yeah.
and not to let that have an impact on me, a negative impact, but rather, again, I remember a time back then when I was in school. We've been the first generation of students in the school that they introduced those smart boards. You know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, when you have a smart board, and back then it was like computers, schools slowly having internet. You know, one day I was about to enter our classroom, and all of a sudden I'm listening. I can hear my voice. I'm like, what is this? I enter, and back then I already I had the YouTube channel, and I was uploading a couple of videos. But back then, not professional, only. Again, by motivated by my parents and especially my father, like he was like, those videos you have, put them online, at least you won't lose them. So I entered the classroom, and our class majority was not Muslim.
Mhm.
We had some Muslims, but even those mainly Sunni.
Yeah.
I think in my class I was probably the only Shia, and I was the video was about me reciting Quran. And those Christian classmates, non-Muslim classmates, they were also doing fun of me because they were like, "What is it? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Why are you holding your hand behind?"
Mm-hmm.
So I felt kind of embarrassed back then. Mainly, it's a thing that finding or trying to be able to have that shared identity and recognize yourself with the identity in the West in certain areas is very difficult. And I think I went through a very difficult time to find myself, to be able to say, okay, now I'm Shia,
Mhm.
and it's my identity, and that's what I am.
Being a Shia, how did you, how do you transit from being a Qari to Noha reciter and so on?
It started very, very early. So basically, the story my parents tell me, of course, I was too young to remember everything, but the story starts like that they used to play Quran recitations at home,
Mhm.
and I used to listen to it. Mainly recitations of Abdul Basit. And Abdul Basit's recitations, even back then and even now, they're in their way very unique and very interesting to listen, especially if you're a child, because the pitch he's reciting is very high, and usually kids are able to recite on that high pitch level. So my father told me that when they were playing those recitations, me as a child, I started mimicking the recitation. Children, whatever they see, whatever they hear, they start copying. So basically, I was like a sponge, starting to copy what I was listening and what I was hearing. Yeah.
What I want to try and understand is, what are the fundamentals of a qari? What do you need to learn? What are the basics that you need to really have a grasp on?
To answer this question, I would also always ask, who's asking? Is it an adult, or is it a child who's asking? If it's a child, I wouldn't start saying you have to learn this and that.
Technical aspects, yeah.
Bro, just start listening to a reciter that you feel comfortable with and you love his recitation, and
just
start
copy.
copying.
Yeah.
Listen to that recitation as often as possible. The same way, like my teacher used to say, whenever when I call you in the middle of the night, you'll be able to recite.
Cool.
So for children, also for adults, but for children especially, just listen and copy what you hear. Copy, 100% copy, like as if you're like doing it as the reciter himself. For an adult, it's not only listening, but also the main fundament of recitation is and has to be tajweed, ahkam al-tajweed. So the rules of recitations. And some people are weak or do not highlight the role of ahkam al-tajweed the way they should. Rather, they stick to the melodies. They come and start talking about maqamats and the melodies and the voice. Yeah, voice is important. Yeah, maqamats will be important as well.
Well, the foundation is
the foundation is tajweed, because if you do not have the proper tajweed, if you do not have the proper pronunciation, you're reciting incorrect.
Exactly.
And if you're reciting incorrectly,
everything else doesn't matter really.
In a certain way, you even could commit a sin.
You're distorting the word,
because you're distorting the word, and you're changing the meaning.
Exactly.
So basically, the most important thing is tajweed, and the correct recitation. So reciting correctly, and after that, it's about basically we call it lahn. So the field of maqamat, the field of melodies. Then we have sawt, so the field of voice, the voice of the reciter himself. And there's another field called waqf ibtida. So basically, when you breathe and you start the recitation, you start the recitation, and where in the verse, for example, if it's a long verse, where do you stop? Where do you stop and where do you begin again? Because you're not supposed to start the ayah and breathe within the ayah, because wherever you start, if you within the ayah start breathing, it's basically as if you've stopped there.
Okay.
And if you stop randomly, you're going to change the meaning again.
Yes.
Long term, short term. So even I had a lack of teachers, because even back then, I think in Germany we had teachers, Quran teachers. So it's an issue that nowadays is even better. So even now, people start, for example, studying the science of recitations online with teachers online. I've been asked as well, but unfortunately I haven't started giving classes, because I think it's a responsibility. You have to have a proper schedule. You have to have a proper way of teaching. And until I'm not aware or not able to, or until I'm not sure of what I'm teaching, I'm not going to teach, because it's a responsibility.
Of course. Well, I might push you a little bit here. So you talked about the different maqamat.
Correct.
Can you give us an example of that? Because there's 7 or 8 maqamat, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Especially after watching
Shia
Shia Voice, all they talk about is a Makamat.
Yeah.
So
Thanks to Sayyid Jalal.
Sayyid Jalal, yeah.
So if you brought up the maqamat so much, Like people forgot completely about tajweed.
Yeah,
How many like props and respect to Sayyid Jalal, like what he has done and what he does is really remarkable. But I wished he could have give the same amount of energy or time for tajweed. That would, of course, Makamat, beautiful topic. Mainly, we talk about 7 or 8 main Makamats.
Yeah.
So let's count. We have Maqam Bayat, or also so-called Maqam Bayati. We have Maqam Rast. We have Maqam Saba. We have Maqam we Persians we say Siga. The Arabs say Sika. We have Maqam Charga. But again, the Maqam Charga is argued whether it's a main maqam or not, because Charga goes to Ajam. So let's say stick with Ajam. So having Bayati, Rast, Saba, Siga, Ajam.
Yeah.
Then we have Hijaz. We have Nahawand.
Yeah.
What does makamat actually mean?
Melody, I think.
Basically melody. A certain structure of melody.
Okay.
That's called maqam.
And then what differentiates each one that you're referring to?
All right. What I want to do is I want to hear it.
Before we hear it,
but I wanna
what's your
understand.
favorite one?
Yeah. No.
I got asked that question quite often. The thing is, due to the fact that so many people tend to say Nahawand. You know, Nahawand is the one that probably I think nowadays gets the most feedback. People love it a lot.
Which one's Hijaz and Sabah? The difference?
Every maqam has his significance, has its significance, and maqam Saba is being known that it sounds very, very sad, or even when you come to the verses of the chastisement of Allah, and the way Allah the punishment of Allah. You rather go to Maqam Saba because it sounds very I don't want to say, maybe it's the wrong word, but horrific, and in a way sad. And you want to, even if you talk about the kuffar in the Quran, or even the adab and the munafiqeen, you rather go to a more serious and more sad maqam. In comparison, you have maqamat like Ajam, or you have maqam like Nahawand, that's rather, or even maqam Siga, it's rather way more happy. So you wouldn't talk about Yawm al-Qiyamah and the chastisement and the punishment people in those maqamats. It doesn't make sense. And to answer the question, I'll tell you one of my favorites is Nahawand. But because Nahawand is being mentioned by so many, I don't want to say that this is my favorite maqam, because
is that the most popular?
It is I think nowadays is the most popular. Even if I would now start, you would know which it is.
So do you want to give us a whistle top
Example.
tour of
let's hear Nahawand. Go.
So let's have Surah Al-Fatiha as an example,
As
so that we can
the different
exactly. So basically, starting with Surah Al-Fatiha, for example. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم. I think you know this maqam. You've heard this a lot.
Exactly.
Yeah, basically this is the introduction of maqam Nahawand, basically.
Okay. And the same verses for example.
Saba.
Let's do that.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم. So you feel the atmosphere completely changes. Completely.
This is more like Noha recitation.
Exactly. And Noha, they go to Saba because it's way more sad. They use Saba, they use Hijaz, usually. Even the Iraqi Latmiyat, it's mainly Saba. mainly. But even if the Nohe discussions again, a way different topic. But even in let's have a shortcut on Iraqi Latmiyats. Even Iraqi Latmiyats like Mullah Basim Karulai, being an expert in his field, even he has implemented different maqamats within Latmiyats. Very interesting topic. And I was talking about this one with one of the guys who is now in the Shia Voice, Brother Ali Alayan. When I was discussing this, he was like asking me coming from the Quran field, about maqamat. And I told him, listen, even for the Nohe reciters, and I'll come to this, even for Nohe reciters, having a certain knowledge on Quran and the science of recitation of Quran is beneficial.
Yeah.
And basically every Qari and every Quran teacher says the same. If you're a Quran reciter, if you are able to recite Quran correctly and beautifully, you are able to do anything. Is it Nohe reciter? Is it Makamat? Is it dua? Anything.
Wow. What's the most technical of the maqamat?
The most technical.
Or the most technically difficult?
The most technical, difficult. Honestly, every maqam has its significance, has its individual. Every maqam is individual, and you need individual techniques for the maqam. I wouldn't say that there is one maqam that's very, very difficult. Basically, you can recite, because at the end, it depends on the reciter himself.
True.
Does he recite the maqam in a very easy way or in a very, very, very technical way? So at the end, you can recite any maqam, very, very technical.
So if I want to start being a Qari,
Yeah.
right? So what are the maqamas like beginner friendly, let's say?
Beginner friendly.
To start off with.
Mainly every person who recites Quran usually starts, even not knowing that, automatically starts in maqam bayat. So basically when you say أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم, this is maqam bayat. Why? Because any recitation usually starts with maqam bayat. So basically anybody who starts to recite Quran, they automatically go to maqam bayat. So basically the first maqam you recite is maqam bayat usually. But again, my recommendation is to everyone who's a beginner, do not stick to the maqamats. Forget about the maqamats. I didn't know about the maqamats until like after 15 or 16 or 17 years
so
of
learn tajweed.
learn tajweed and stick to one reciter that you feel comfortable and you think his voice matches your voice in a way, and start to learn from him, from his recitation, and memorize the whole recitation to grab all the techniques, to grab all the art of recitation. You know, because if you want to have your own maqamats or your own style, Baba, you have to go study, and you have to study the basically the maqamats that we use. Basically, they're the maqamats of the Arab music maqamats. Even when it comes to Nohas, I think the Pakistani community, they call it rag.
Yeah. It's all Indian rags.
We have rag, even we have Afghans, we call it they call it rag. And so basically when you wanna, if anybody would want to start Quran recitation and be like, I need to do maqamats, and if you want to do maqamats, you have to become a musician. And when you have a musician, you're a musician, you'll be able to have your own maqamats and your own style. But that's not our goal. Our goal is to recite Quran beautifully. That's why you go to those people who have had those skills, who were able to implement all the beautiful maqamats and the techniques. You listen to those recitations and gain all the information, all the knowledge, all the skills, and all the melodies, basically.
So these maqamat are derived from previous reciters? Or?
Correctly. Nowadays, the most learned Quran reciters are those who have been able in their lifetime to learn all the techniques, all the melodies from the big Quran reciters. For example, Abdul Basit.
So could you theoretically make your own maqamat?
I could, if I would have enough knowledge on those people who already recited certain verses, certain melodies, to find those small spots where I can change something. And basically, there are some reciters who do it, the question is, do we need to get to a certain degree that you start having your own maqamats? And the Quran recitation is, of course, it's very beautiful and has a big impact. But maybe we should also invest also time, especially if you're not Arab, for the meaning.
Exactly.
And this is the main goal, to have recitations. And basically the reason we recite the way that we recite, or the main goal is to, even for people who are not able to understand Arabic, people who are sitting in the crowd or just listening to the Quran, to have an impact on them, and maybe even just by the way you're reciting, giving them a certain atmosphere that they feel as if they have a certain idea of what this recitation is about. You know? So basically you try to transmit the meaning of the Quran by using the melodies. But if you're using the melodies only to show up and to show off that you are able to have different recitation,
it's pointless.
we have people, they are outstanding with their recitations. But sometimes you're like, okay, is it the meaning
or just your own voice?
like, are you able to bring the meaning to the people, or is it you just want to show how flexible your voice is?
Yeah.
And this is all, again, the recitation is not only having techniques, and it's just having an impact and having being able to, maybe with your recitation, bring people close to Allah.
Absolutely.
And again, although the mazhab is different, people like Abdul Basit, we're not going to go to discussion whether his mazhab is correct or if he's going to be in paradise. It's a way different discussion. I don't think it's important for us. We are proud of being Shia, always, and we will always be. Alhamdulillah for that. But even his recitations have been in a way that people who were not Muslim became Muslim just because of the recitation.
Very true.
They had it had such an impact that people got close to Allah. And of course, maybe I bet maybe some of them maybe at the beginning became Sunni, and maybe even became Shia afterwards. Very, very possible.
And growing up, was there a particular recitation or that you listened to that really
Abdul
inspired
Basit?
you, or a live one, or
Mainly Abdul Basit, mainly the cassettes.
just the cassettes?
Because watching those cassettes, mainly the live majalis, you could see he was reciting, and then people, the feedback of the crowd. It made me feel, or it gave me that mission of, I want to be in the same position, having a recitation to have an impact on people, and the people just cheering or having that feedback, and people loving it, and people appreciating it.
Yeah.
That was, the main motivation.
Especially when it's the word of Allah. I can imagine it, and you're bringing people closer to it. What better feeling could there be? So we talked about your fundamentals, you all the technical abilities you have and the way you built those, and then of course the competitions you've entered and succeeded in.
But sorry, by the way, it's there was only those 2 years of competitions I just mentioned. There were way more competitions.
I can
Way more competitions.
So what I wanted to say now is, so you went through all of this.
Correct.
But then you entered the Shia Voice as a Noha reciter.
Correct.
What happened there?
Very, very interesting story. Very interesting story. But basically, 2022, the Shia Voice first season. Giving you a bit more background information. 2022, basically up to 2022, I already participated in multiple Quran competitions.
Yeah.
We're talking about regional, we're talking about national, we're talking about European, we're talking about international, alhamdulillah. Even being blessed in participating in Iran and Afghanistan successfully, alhamdulillah. So basically, I already had enough Quran competitions.
So you needed a new challenge?
No, not really. The main story why I participated in the Shia Voice, I mentioned it. A couple people asked me, and I told the story again. To just make it short, the programs of Imam Hussein TV, especially the elections of Sayyid Ammar Naqshbandi, had a big impact on me. I had my reasons. I was growing up in proper Afghani majalis. I had no reason to go to any other majalis, or mainly Persian, because we all used to participate in Afghani and Irani majalis. Of course, the language is the same. We didn't have any reason to go out and search for, of course, German back then. You almost had no programs, and you had no reason to, of course, go to English programs. And even Arabic is not our language, so you were used to stick to the common traditional majalis. But again, there's certain topics, in the Shia committees. In certain Shia committees, people wouldn't talk about it, or topics that are not being discussed the way they should be discussed, because they're like
taboo topics, basically.
Well, people
topics
feel
you
that
avoid
they're too
or
sensitive.
like, no, we shouldn't be maybe bringing people in danger, or we're still in a form of
Too
taqiyya.
sensitive.
With the other mazahib, like so me growing up, being religious, and like, how come Islam is since when is Islam a religion where you have taboos, especially on knowledge, on ilm? How come? So many stories, long stories. If I would start telling you about the stories, we could have a long podcast. Really, many difficult stories that I had in my past. So basically, I had enough reasons to start searching for other majalis, basically for other lectures. And some of my friends, they were like, give it a try with the lectures of Salam al-Nashawani, because of course, him being probably the most famous English-speaking speaker in the Shia world, and having really interesting topics. I don't know if there is any other speaker having those wild lectures and topics.
Absolutely not. There isn't.
Legendary.
One of a kind.
Really. So basically, that Muharram, I used to listen to his series of lectures. I was baffled. I was amazed, really. I couldn't wait for the next series just to listen to it. The next series was Fatimiyya. 3 nights of Fatimiyya. And the last of the nights, he was like they announced, like, we have a big announcement to make. We were watching at home the series of Fatimiyya, beautiful lectures, and at the end, announcement was, we have a new program. It's called the Shia Voice. And I was like, I do have a voice. I recite Quran. I recite also Noha. How I started with Noha, I'll come to that as well. But basically, I didn't have the urge to participate in any competition again. I participated in multiple Quran competitions, so why? Basically, for me, it was like, you know what? How about I compete there, I participate there, just to get to know these people, because I'm like a person who has started finding something he wasn't able to find in his own communities. And I was like, what is it about UK that people have those beautiful programs? How come this guy is able to speak about topics in our centers? You'll have problem with your own guy, your own people, not with other people. It's not the other people who come and like say like you're not allowed to. It's our own people saying no, you shouldn't talk about that. So that's a different topic. I went to the Shia Voice just to express my appreciation, my gratitude for those kind of programs, those kind of lectures, appreciating Mount Saint TV and appreciating the lectures of Sayyid al-Shawani. And when I arrived there, even I was thinking still, because even though when I applied, I sent them a short video. In that video, I was reciting Quran and Noha, because I didn't know what to do.
So you hadn't decided?
No,
I decided you're gonna be in.
I decided when I was there.
Wow. Okay.
And I thought about it, and I was like, again, Quran competition does not make sense for me. For me, as a reciter, it's not that I do not recommend any Quran reciters to participate in the Shia Voice. I do. Every person who's a Qari, basically every reciter, every person who has a talent should. The Shia Voice I always recommend.
For sure.
But for me, it didn't make sense. For me personally, because of the experience I had, and seeing the communities in the UK, having the Pakistani, the Khoja, the Iraqis, I could tell the way you have Mullah Basim, the way you have Sayyid Nadim Sarwar, the way you have many famous Iranian reciters. There's no Afghan reciter, and I knew that there were many communities they didn't even know that there are Afghani Nohas. People thought that Afghans usually recite the same like Iranian. So basically,
Yeah.
Iranian Nohas.
Yeah.
So for me, there was an urge to say, okay, you know what? Maybe this is a good platform to just represent the Afghan way of Azdari, of mourning and Nohas, because we are different than the Iranians. And the way of
Even the style of the matam is different.
Exactly.
And to be honest,
exactly.
your point is proven directly with me, because I had never seen an Afghan Noha or heard an Afghan Noha being recited, and you were the first time I saw it,
Yeah.
and it was amazing. From that first moment that you started, I was like, okay, we here in Manchester have a massive Afghan community, but typically it's not always possible that we always go around to each other's centres. So having heard it, it makes you want to listen to it more often.
Correct.
And
100%.
it's definitely testament to the story you've just said.
One of the reasons why Afghans, even the West nowadays, had issues or still have issues, stick to their own way of recitations, Noha recitation, is because, again, the history of Afghanistan being a country of war,
Yeah.
people migrating to Pakistan, to Iran. If you see those people who have migrated, and now you see the influence, you see, for example, those guys who used to live in Iran, nowadays they recite the Iranian Nohas, have implemented the Iranian styles. Those guys who used to migrate to Pakistan, there's a big community in Quetta, Pakistan,
Huge.
is a Hazara community.
Yeah.
And these guys are originally all from Afghanistan,
Of course.
and they recite beautifully. But the style that they have implemented is the Pakistani style, but still the Afghani Dari Farsi language. So basically nowadays, even in our center back then, it was like all those people who came from abroad, from Afghanistan, from Iran, they were like, why are you still reciting that old-fashioned Nohas? So what I mean? I said, no, you have to be modern, you have to be the new style. So what is the new style? Yeah, you should stand up and do like this. Papa, this is not Afghani, this is Iranian style, what you talk, this is Arab style. I think when it comes to Noha recitations, it's something also, I think, of course, it's cultural in a way, but it's a good culture, because you're representing your culture and bringing your culture close to religion, and it benefits generations.
Very true.
Big time. So I had that urge, even in certain majalis. Alhamdulillah, my family was able to, in those centers we used to go, and there are some centers, alhamdulillah, in certain points, certain areas in the world, you have still some proper traditional Afghani majalis where they recite traditional Nohas. And we were able also to implement in even our centers to stick with the traditional recitation. So I understood that the Afghani Nohas are not recognized at all.
Going to awareness, basically. Yeah.
Exactly. So basically going to Shia, we were like, okay, a good opportunity to just show the world, listen, this is our way.
Yeah.
And to be honest, that's what I said in the show as well. I didn't know if the people are gonna love it or be able to even recite the jawab, you know, because the Noha reciting there had a very long jawab. Dar kharaba bitu manizar gire kadam. Usually half of this line is already too much. Half of this line is usually too much for matam.
Exactly, yeah.
So the first line is Dar kharaba bitu manizar gire kadam. Ay padar bayad tu bisyar gire kadam. So almost fourth the time, fourth the amount of words. That's already too much for matamis or for people to do who do sinas. They need to do the jawab.
Yeah.
I didn't think that people would be able to enjoy, to join even with the jawab, but really
People did, yeah.
the reactions were unbelievable.
So do you think you've accomplished everything you wanted to as a Quran reciter? Now you're shifting to Noha?
No.
So what is it more that you want to do as a Quran reciter?
As a Quran reciter, again, if you don't have those role models, those big Quran reciters who are able to recite unbelievably, you know, not being Arabic and not having the full knowledge of the Arabic language still shows us that there's, even for me, it's still a big gap that I have to fill with knowledge and get closer to the meanings, get closer to the Arabic language itself. to enjoy the recitation myself more, to have a, we say uns, like we, get close, a closeness to the Quran, and thus having the tafsir. And a certain knowledge on tafsir is also something I'm looking forward to having it as well.
So that's your that's your more like your personal relationship
Yeah,
you want to develop.
Correct.
But in terms of your recitation,
Yeah.
is there an area you still want to develop or accomplish, or
Yeah.
you feel
Honestly, I want to develop my the way of recitation as well, because there's still some techniques I could work on.
such as what for you? What do you think your main areas of improvement are, for example?
You know, when it comes to Quran citations, again, the three main role models, the three main reciters people stick to and learn their way of recitations. Usually we have three, we call by the names of Abdul Basit, very known, Minshawi, Muhammad Siddiq Minshawi. And the third one, maybe not so known in the Shia world, but his name is Mustafa Ismail. Mustafa Ismail was known for being the biggest Quran reciter, Akbar al-Quran. Why the biggest? Not because of his height or his body size, but for being so professional in the Makamats. This guy did things that were unbelievable. For example, the way he was reciting, for example, one maqam, he was reciting, for example, one maqam in 2 pages, without repeating one bit of the maqam. So you imagine the maqam being a structure of melodies, okay? Even, let's go to Pakistani nohas. If you have a noha, you know the let's say the raq or the maqam, he recites, any reciter, has different, the whole noha has a certain structure. The whole has a structure of the melodies. His low notes, his mid notes, and his high notes, and the way he goes up and down. Correct?
Yeah.
How often does he repeat those melodies? Quite often. Quite often.
Yeah.
That's the nature of noha. And if you would want to have many variations within his noha, how many variations could he have? Maybe a couple, but still.
I'd say maximum 2 or 3.
Let's say 2 or 3, but still he would have to repeat them as well.
Yeah.
So that's natural, but just as a reference. Now let's go to the Quran. This guy recited 2 pages of the Quran, Maqam Bayad, without one repetition.
Wow.
That means
So he read all 8 Makamat.
No. He read one maqam
continuously.
One
Continuously,
maqam
okay.
continuously
Yeah.
without repeating one part of the maqam. This guy was really, that's why they call him Akbar al-Quran. If somebody wants to learn about maqamats, go to Mustafa Ismail. If you want to learn about voice, about voice control, about breath, about high pitch, and if you're younger, Abdul Basit. The recitation he had still until today unique. If you get older a bit and you want to go to the field of having emotional recitations with a lot of emotion and a lot of a certain width in the recitation, having, we say sanguine with a weightful. I don't know if it's the correct word. Or the weightful.
It's the same word in Urdu, sanguine. Yes.
Yeah. You know, even the recitation I had, these past nights I was your guest, even the recitation yesterday. When I start the recitation, maybe you can relate, but my recitations have a certain weight.
Absolutely.
They're not like I'm going very quickly high. There are other reciters, their start is like they start, but even the second line he's already playing up. And he does not have those low notes and having that we say talawat sanguine, and having really weightful or with a big weight, a recitation that really has an impact. Basically, this goes back to Muhammad Siddiq Minshawi, having a proper foundation of recitation, very deep, but very beautiful. And when he goes high, it seems like they say when he recites, I used to recite, it sounds as if he's crying. So so basically these 3, and I was blessed to go and study Abdul Basit when I was a child until a certain age. And nowadays Muhammad Fahim. So basically, Mustafa Ismail, that's one school that I
It's left. You're
it's
getting
left. If I do, they say if you want to be a great Quran reciter and really professional, you have to have Mustafa Ismail in your pocket. You have to know about the techniques he has had. So basically, that's one of the fields I could and I should work on.
And in terms of Afghan Nohe reciters, who's like the most famous?
The most famous, again, due to the fact that in Afghanistan, again, a country with war, the most famous Nohe reciter was the guy, was the Nohe reciter whose cassettes have been distributed back then. We have had a lot of Nohe reciters. Most of them nobody knows. They don't remember him. They don't remember these people. But the one Nohe reciter that got very famous, a beautiful Nohe reciter, his name by the name of Farhad Afshar. He now lives in the US. And probably not in his prime anymore because of his age, but probably the most known Nohe reciter there is Farhad Afshar, with a certain way of and style of recitation. It's not my style, but
did you have anyone that you got influenced from?
Definitely. There are probably 2 or 3 Nohe reciters I got influenced from a very young age. One of them is related to me. Is basically the cousin of my mother, a very, very known reciter within the Afghani Shia communities in Kabul. Basically, my maternal family, they used to have Husseinias in Iran and in Afghanistan, even the Afghanistan one. Until today, the old generation know that Husseinia. And if I tell them, like, for example, my great-grandfather is Mirza Faqir Hussein Shaywan, they will be like, yeah, we know him. Wow. We used to go to his Husseinia. So my maternal family was very, very into Husseinia and Azadari and Nohe recitation. And even my great-grandfather, being the owner of that Husseinia, he himself was a poet. And one of his poems is one of the most known Nohe on Hazrat Abul Fazl Abbas, being recited especially on the 7th night when we bring the alam inside of the majlis. And alhamdulillah, I was blessed to, wherever I was, to recite that Nohe until today. So one of them being my mother's cousin, Nur Ahmad al-Shaybani, really, really remarkable reciter. And another one, the reciter Raza Nasiri. I know it's even a very common name in the Pakistani, but
it is.
Yeah, but this one, Raza Nasiri, also has recitations. Raza Nasiri, again, also being related to us, his father is maybe until today the most known poet when it comes to Afghan Nohes. Alhamdulillah, he's still alive. I had the blessing to meet him the first time in 2023 in the US. He lives in the US. And I knew him before, but since then we have a good relation. Alhamdulillah, he's still alive, but his Nohas probably are the most known Nohas in the world, Afghan Nohas. Really, really beautiful Nohas. And even until today, I have the blessing that some of his new Nohas he's sending to me. So basically, his son, Raza Nasiri, is one of the also most known reciters. But again, it's the family, because his father being the poet and the reciter himself, but his uncles being better reciters than his father, but his father being the poet, and his uncles being the reciters, and beautiful recitation. And even if you find the cassettes where they recite, you see the quality is not good, but beautifully. And basically, the main impact and the main influence in Nohe recitation I got from these 2. And there's another one. So 2, 3 very, very known reciters I got influenced by.
And now, I'd probably say, of course, since you're now much more in the limelight, you are now the next generation. Obviously, a lot changed after you came onto the Shia Voice, and it's a platform that takes you global. Right? Everyone starts to recognize who you are. So how's your life changed? So now, obviously, you're traveling with a lot of different Ziara groups. You're going all around Europe and the world, being invited to recite Quran, recite Nohas. is that the life that you've always wanted? Is it because obviously I don't want to put your personal business out there, but you're a lawyer.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, correct. Correct. I think in a certain way, due to the fact that my father used to bring me to all those majalis,
Yeah.
being used to go to those majalis, it was nothing that, it wasn't that it shocked me, or it was not a big surprise of being invited. Of course, being invited as a Noha reciter is something differently. So it's something different. But of course, in this scale, being invited not only in Germany but all over Europe and the US, it was a big thing for me. I didn't imagine of being invited or having the opportunity to be having those invitations. Again, because in the Afghani community, it's not common to invite Noha reciters, especially to invite them from a different country.
Exactly.
Usually you invite lecturers, but you don't invite Noha reciters.
No.
Even Quran reciters, usually you don't invite. Why? Because Alhamdulillah, every community has their own reciters. So Alhamdulillah, it was a big blessing to being invited. Still to this day, being blessed. But what I also wanted to mention, me growing up as a Quran reciter was different than me being grown up as a Noha reciter. That's also an interesting story I would love to tell you. In the age of 5 or 6, we go to Iran back then, to the Husseini of my maternal family, and that's probably the first Muharram I witnessed. And me being born and raised in Germany, okay, I was Quran reciter. I used to recite Quran. Even back then, they used to let me recite as a child. Again, how important is it even to encourage children to recite in the majalis? So I was reciting there as a child, maybe 5, 6 years old. And then the so-called matam started at the end of the majlis. And for me, like the Sinazani, that was the first time witnessing, probably the first time ever for me witnessing Sinazani and Zanjizani. And if I say Zanjizani, I mean the chains, not the blades. For me, the first time I was like, whoa, what is this? And it had a big influence on me. It influenced me big time.
Amazing.
And I loved it. I started loving it, and the first thing that happened was that my uncles, who used to live in Iran, they started teaching me how to do matam, how to do sinazani, because I wanted to do sinazani. People sometimes nowadays they're like, yeah, you're the internationally known Quran reciter and the Noha reciter. I'll be like, okay, Quran reciter, yeah, I always wanted to be a Quran reciter, but I didn't start with the plan to become a Noha reciter. The whole plan was just doing matam, doing sinazani. The love was there just to do azadari, just to mourn for Imam Hussein alayhi salam in the way of doing latam or so-called matam or doing sinazani. And us not living in Iran or in any Islamic country where you have all those programs and all those majalis and having those recitations of Noha, my family used to keep those cassettes of the recordings they had in those majalis in Iran, brought them to Germany, and we used to play them at home. And me as a child, I used to listen to that and do matam at home, doing sinadi on my own. And when I grew up, of course, we started having our own centers, and the program started, and even having Afghani majalis in Berlin, in Germany. But even me, as again, being raised and born in Berlin and not in an Islamic country, and not in Afghanistan or Iran, I was like, those recitations, they're not the way they should be. People could have asked me, how do you know? Who are you to say? But I could tell those recitations are not the way they should be. So after a while, my parents, especially my mom, encouraged me, listen, you know how to recite Quran? I'll teach you. And I had the blessing to be able to learn Farsi very, very early. And she used to write down the Nohas in Farsi letters. And thus I started reciting. And after many, I started reciting at the age of probably, I have to guess, 13, 14, I started reciting Nohas. So way later than I started with Quran. Maybe 10 years after I started with Quran. And again, the whole purpose was, I want to recite. If I see those guys are not able to recite the way it should be recited, if they're not reciting as beautiful as it should be recited, then I'll try to catch up the atmosphere. Again, why catch up the atmosphere? Like the same in the Quran, when I used to watch those cassettes of Abdul Basit, and you saw the whole atmosphere, he having those remarkable recitations, that impact on the crowd. And me being that majalis in those Azadari majalis, and you see the crowd having proper scenes and the whole atmosphere like electrifying, you know. Basically, the whole purpose of me reciting Noha was to relive those moments and maybe being able to bring those moments wherever I am, in those majalis. And after a while, I got advanced in Noha reciting. So first Noha, second Noha, after a while 10th Noha, 50th Noha. Alhamdulillah, I think I might have over 300 Nohas. And basically, people think that I only have recently started. I only have that one known Noha with Mullah Nazar Qatari, and the other ones that I have released. But when I say I have 300 Nohas, not all of I don't mean these 300 are mine, but I have access. I have researched, and I have written down all the Nohas I could find of any poet. And basically those poets that have the biggest impact with their poems, especially because in my opinion the Afghani Nohas, from the weight of meaning, the meaning of the poems are way higher than Iranian Nohas. Iranian Nohas being a bit more modern, the words they use are less meaningful. But the Afghani Nohas being traditional, very old-fashioned, very rich, very rich.
Have you done other languages? Sorry.
No.
In your
No.
no.
Even people ask me to do, for example, some even Iranian, like, almost same language, but I refused.
No. What about English? Would you do?
English, I in the Shia Voice once I added one verse in English. I think that's all. When it comes to Noha, no. I haven't tried English or German or any other language.
You haven't tried, or you don't want to do it?
It's hard. It's hard because first of all the people who start doing English recitations, they have a fundament, a foundation. Their foundation, when it's usually if it's Iraqi starting to recite English, he sticks to the Iraqi foundation, so the Iraqi way of recitation, tune, and he adapts the English language. If it's an Urdu reciter, it's the same way. Now, for me, being an Afghan reciter, now I have to see how can I use. Of course, if I would want to go to the Iraqi foundation, I have to have a clue how the Iraqi way of recitation is. And I'm not an Iraqi reciter. If it's about the Urdu recitation, again, I have to have a clue how the Iraqi Noha recitations have to be. So basically, the reason why maybe the main reason why I haven't started yet is because I aim, if I start to use the Afghani Noha foundation to implement English or any other language on it. That would be one of the projects maybe in the future.
Definitely, we look forward to that.
Inshallah.
Well, before we end, one of the things I wanted to do is ask you for a favor, and that favor is going to be your favorite verse of the Quran.
That's
to be recited for
very
us.
difficult. If you say the most favorite,
because we've asked this to every other guest,
really,
and they've all said their verse and why it's their favorite. But I would like you to recite it for us.
In tartil.
Yeah.
Tahqiq.
Tahqiq. I will recite it and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إنا أعطيناك الكوثر فصل لربك وانحر إن شانئك هو الأبتر صدق الله العلي العظيم اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. So basically, if you ask somebody your favorite ayah, your favorite surah, many people tend to go to Surah Al-Kawthar. Again, I'm not that guy who likes to have the same answer as many other people. When you ask me about Maqam, I know that the majority stick to Nahawan. I don't like to have the same answer. So basically, I believe that many people would go to Surah Al-Kawthar. Of course, there are many beautiful and surahs and verses in the Quran that I really favor and I really love. Surah Al-Kawthar being the surah that is connected to Bibi Fatima Zahra and her role, and even my own connection with Bibi Fatima Zahra, and all the blessings I have earned through the service for Bibi Fatima Zahra. Again, many beautiful stories. Maybe we would need to have a couple more episodes, but maybe because of that connection, I would go to Surah Al-Kawthar.
Well, my brother Fahim, thank you so much.
Thank you
for this podcast, but also thank you for blessing the community that we have here in Manchester.
It's been my pleasure.
It's been a wonderful opportunity to listen to you, not only on the Quran side, but also we heard your Nohas, and we were blessed to hear, probably for the first time in my life, that I've seen someone do Dua Makaram al-Akhlaq all in one go, without a break, with no water, without anything.
Hamza Somali. Hamza Somali. Yeah, 70 minutes non-stop.
Yeah.
So I would say, for those that are watching the podcast that haven't listened to Brother Fahim, then definitely go on the YouTube channel. All his recitations are there, so definitely that's something that I would recommend that we do as an experience in itself. So thank you for
having me. Yeah, I enjoyed as well the couple nights that we had together, and alhamdulillah, again, it's been a blessing, and may Allah grant us the opportunity to continue this service. You guys having the hosting the majalis, us the reciters serve with our recitations.
Amazing, thank you. And that ends today's episode. There will be a lot more coming. Inshallah, we will have many more episodes with continued guests and speakers, reciters, and maybe some of the lads as well that you might have seen around and want to know a little bit more about. And inshallah, we'll be bringing you more episodes with even more content. Thank you so much, and inshallah, we'll see you soon.